Welcome to the Trailblazing Texas podcast, where we embark on a journey through our diverse Texas landscapes and breathtaking trails while always engaging with our amazing Texas hiking community. So settle in, tighten up those bootlaces, and get ready for the thrilling tales awaiting for you on this episode. And to talk her into going, I had to supply 2 hotel stays and like 4 or 5 different wineries on the way to the different state parks. And we it was really nice because we kind of started out through West Texas, went up to north part of Texas, and then back down. But yeah, so it cost a couple of hotels and some wineries along the way. So yeah, it was,
darn, life's a struggle, not the wineries.
I know. And like for me, like I try to hike every Sunday, and it's usually solo. I have 3 boys, and they'll rock climb with me, but not hiking. My daughter, she lives in Washington State, and she's my hiker. Like she would, she's sending me pictures all the time of slaying peaks and all this kind of stuff. So, so she's up there. So, it is what it is. But yeah, for the most part, it's solo for me.
Yeah. So a counterintuitive thing that you might try is, I know, like for me originally, I don't super love, short day hikes, especially if there's not like a big view or something like really drawing to get there.
Right.
And like when we went to Old Rag, it's, maybe an hour and a half from here. And we were planning this camp for that night. And just my whole brain's going, why are you doing this? You could be at home. You could be in a bed. And for me, the longer hikes are actually a lot. It fits in my brain better when it's a longer distance. So you're doing like 3, 4, 5 nights. You're like, yeah, of course I'm going to camp. This is the most sensible way to get to all of these places. Like it's
right. No, to think about that. And oh man, like my heaven on earth, my favorite place on earth is Guadalupe Mountain National Park. It's one of the least visited national parks in the United States. It's in Texas, and it's 19 degrees outside. We have a wintry mix. You're out in the middle of a desert, but if you get to the backcountry, you're at elevation where it's forest. It's truly amazing. And I'm sitting there going, it's 19 degrees. I'm in a 70-mile-an-hour winds. It's hell, or not hell, but sleet. I could be at home, like snuggling with my wife and watching a movie or something. And I'm out here doing this shit.
But was the sunrise view worth it?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And
there you go, right there.
In that park, I never start a hike, whether I'm backpacking or just day hiking, where I'm gaining elevation, and I don't start at 3 a.m, because I know by the time 5 hits, I'm up at a good spot to start to watch the sun come up. And it's amazing. It's the Texas high point. So 9 of the highest peaks in Texas are there. 4 are trailed, and then you have 4 off trailed. I don't remember what the one, but I've hiked them all. I've hiked and backpacked the whole park. I think I just got back in February, and it was my 18th trip there, and it's a 10-hour drive for me. So I'll drive just on a Friday just to hike Saturday and Sunday and drive back. I love that place so much. Yeah, it's
really funny. You have the least visited. Right by us, we have the C&O Canal, which is the most visited.
Really?
It's not Yellowstone. It's this one.
Really?
Because,
so what's the draw?
Cheating, it's sitting next to a like suburban sprawl. So it's not people travel here to go see it. It's I'm going to go for a jog. C&O Canal.
Really? Oh, that's pretty. I'm going to have to look that one up. So what is your favorite state park or national park?
It's got to be Acadia. It's always Acadia. The fond memories of the place, and it's got these great clandestine kind of hikes. It's got ponds, it's got rocks, it's got trees, it's got honestly the best popovers in the universe, and blueberries on every trail. What more could you want?
Wow, really?
And everything is all of the trails are kind of connected, so you can build as much or as little hiking as you want. And at the end of the day, there's an infinite number of outs, and that's kind of my thing for a lot of hikes is I need to know where the exits are for if things go wrong.
Yeah, yeah,
And it's gone. So
yeah. And
it's always a low stress event,
you think about the AT. There's a lot of stories out there where things go wrong.
yeah,
Like with hikers,
and it's
uh,
always because they didn't know where the exit was or couldn't get there.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I have a lot of books, that kind of chronicle those types of stories because I find them fascinating, and there's so much to learn from them.
Yeah,
Like where the mistakes happened. Like I just had Mr. Barry, he was lost in Guadalupe for 5 days, 4 days with no food or water. And just to listen to him kind of describe what happened, and then we were able to, him and I, just talk about like, oh yeah, so this, you didn't have this and you didn't have that, and yeah, it was it's fascinating, and it's also interesting, for us as hikers in our community, to learn from those types of things, and so that stuff doesn't happen to us. So you have one hike remaining for the rest of your life. What trails are going to be on and why?
you see, I'm gonna cheat and just say the Great Western Loop because that's all the trails.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll
I'm
take
with
it.
those trails.
I'll take it. I'll take it. And so why?
Um, God, I just love the distance. I like seeing the different landscapes. I like seeing one of my favorite things about the AT was just seeing the way that the environment changes as you go along. Even just the same spine of mountains,
Yeah.
it's an incredible experience. It's just seeing like the seasons roll by and the different terrain roll by and the different kinds of foliage at different elevations. It's got it all.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but the next one I really want to do is PCT. Actually, later this summer, I'm trying to do the Hood Timberline Trail.
Hmm.
Just get a little piece of it in there. But
Yet there was Megan, who was on the last three episodes. We had a three-parter. She did the PCT, and they're up in Washington. Her husband, he should be a guide, but mountaineering and stuff. Like I just love the stories about, she was in Alaska. Her and her friend said, let's go hike she was doing some at a state park in Alaska, some trail maintenance, and they just decided, let's go hike the PCT. And they flew down, to San Diego. They met a guy at the airport that was working there. Hey, can you give us a ride to the terminus? And he's like, yeah. And then they started hiking. So it was just
incredible.
crazy. Yeah, that and a funny story for her is like the guy at REI in Alaska was like, um, sold her like an 85-liter backpack. And I was like, that thing probably weighed 10 pounds. And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, did you, after you completed the PCT, did you go back up there and punch him in the face for selling you? Because she used it for maybe 200 miles and then traded it. Like she got rid of it and got a 40 liter pack, and she said that was way more manageable. But yeah, they told her, yeah, here, 80 something liter backpack, have at it.
Yeah. It's that kind of stuff. I physically can't go back into an REI because I'll always walk by the backpack section and hear that happen. Like, don't say anything, you'll get arrested.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Enough about that. All right. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Actually, for not for this episode, but I just want to tell you this one is I was at an REI and I had to physically drag myself out because I heard a kid and he was talking with the sales guy like, "Hey, I want to try this Hyperlite over here. It's a great bag." And the sales guy's like, "Well, no, you don't want to start off with the ultralight stuff right away. You should get this Gregory over here. Leave now."
they must they must get like a commission for every Gregory bag they sell.
I think that guy was just wrong.
I have 3 Hyperlights. I have 8 backpacks and 3 Hyperlights hanging on the wall right now. I love Hyperlights.
Nice.
And it's funny because my
Z-Packs
Z-Packs
guy.
duplex fits into the Hyperlight backpack. I thought it would be some kind of like spark shooting out or whatever, but no, it fits in nicely.
What's really funny is I also have the duplex, but I've got the 40-liter hull, and it's
Mm-hmm.
the duplex. I had to get a cinch sack so it would actually be narrow enough to fit in it.
Really?
Yeah, right.
Huh. That's interesting.
Yeah, I get the 50
So,
liter. It's like 1 extra gram.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I this the roll down tops and stuff. It's not like you have this monstrosity on your back and you can't do anything about it. But yeah, so it's funny, on Megan's podcast, just listening to her, like, yeah, I was hiking with an 85 liter or 80 liter, and the guy at REI said, we should we should use it.
I met a guy on the AT his bag weighed 95 pounds.
How? A body? So what do you think, like, if you look back at, I mean, probably hiking the AT, what are some of your most memorable hiking experiences? Like, you have any like funny stories or like crazy things that have happened?
Yeah, I got a bunch. How much time do you have?
Hey,
I have about 5 months of stories.
Give me 2 or 3 of your top.
All right. Oh boy. No, got picked now. You see, I'm trying to keep all the PG ones because a lot of the stuff was just sketchy nonsense that we got ourselves into. That was always fun.
So just like, what are some of your most memorable hiking experiences hiking on the AT? Anything funny, crazy, something that was really meant a lot to you that happened?
Yeah. I've got crazy stories until the sun, just like forever. Got all the crazy stories, but I think my favorite parts of the trail were still just little bits of hiking. I remember we had camped at the base of Roan Mountain and just going over that pair of balds in the morning, and the sunrise was purple, and it was this beautiful kind of like wheat field kind of feel because it was still early in the season. So it was just this gorgeous ridge line, just the two of us, this epic views. I remember we'd camped up on top of Cube Mountain, kind of somewhat illegally. We'd found this nice little stand of trees and just barely wedged the tent in there, and we got to sit there and watch the sunset. And it was just the two of us sitting on this beautiful rocky outcrop and watching the sky turn different colors. It was just months and months of that are just the things that stick in my brain. If you want the funny, dumb stories, the hitchhikes into town.
Tell me about them, because I hitched. So the hardest trail I ever did in my life was at Guadalupe Mountains. It's called El Capitan, but it's not the peak. Yeah. It's just you hike around it. And it's 9 miles. I thought it was fairly flat. So we left late. I was really cocky. We get on the backside of the ridge. So you have El Capitan, Guadalupe Peak, Shumard, Bartlett. So that back section, it's basically this, the ridge line. And it was so overgrown. We were going up and down these canyons. It's probably 300 or 400 feet of exposure. You couldn't see where you were placing your feet. And it absolutely broke me. And when we finally at dark got to the campsite, started setting up, I told the guys, like, I'm not hiking that trail back. It's to this day, it's my favorite trail. It broke me. And I go, I'm going to hike the 10 miles to the highway, and I'm just hitchhiking. And they're like, okay. And Sam,
good luck.
He drives in from New Mexico to hike with us. I met him at Guadalupe. He's a PCT hiker. So we'll hitchhike. Henning was in the military. So he's a pretty big dude. So I'm like, yeah, okay. Safety wise, man, I posted a picture on Facebook of us in the back of this car, and my wife immediately says, why are you in somebody's truck? I'm like, well, we're hitchhiking. Oh man, when I got home, she was pissed. Of course, like the safety. Yeah. Like, safety wise, she was like, thinking this and that. And I'm like, I'm with 3 people. People hitchhike all the time when on the AT, the PCT. And anyway, so I got in a lot of trouble. So yeah. So what about your hitchhiking?
Yeah, we hitchhiked a bunch. And pretty across the board, anybody who's going to stop to pick you up is, a genuinely wonderful human being. And they're really just, trying to do their best for you. It's two of them stand out as they were decisions. Love those people to death, but oh boy, did we make bad choices those days.
Oh yeah, what happened?
So like one of them, this was more innocently fun. It was we got picked up. Just this guy pulls up, doesn't say a word, just like he just does this, get in the back. Great. There's no tailgate on this pickup truck, and it's all full of hay, and there's nothing to grab onto. So I'm just sliding around like I'm going to end up on the highway in the next 7 seconds, and just
crap.
like I had my arm wedged in, like kind of barely clinging to the wheel well. That was
Oh
a good
my
fun one. I like
gosh.
that one.
So was your wife with you too?
Yep.
Yeah.
Thought nothing of it.
No.
Nope. No,
Oh
she's
my
best.
gosh. Yeah.
The real sketchy one was there was probably like 4 or 5 of us trying to get a hitch, which is more people than will fit in most cars, so it's
Yeah.
always a little bit of a challenge. But this one guy pulls up and very graciously agrees to drive us a little bit at like 2-3 miles into town. It wasn't that far. We could have walked.
Yeah.
Probably should have walked.
Uh-oh.
Because he pulls over and it's this little 5-seat sedan. It's him and his buddy, and like, okay, well, already we're 2 seats short, but it's a short drive. We'll manage. We'll squeeze in.
Mhm.
And what we forget is it's 5 people and 5 backpacks. And then this guy's car is already full of just the craziest stuff. Like one of the things in the trunk was a Home Depot bucket with a stick coming out of it, mostly full of concrete, and some hunting bows and some arrows and a bunch of stuff. And I learned this later. Somebody sat in the passenger seat. The entire passenger seat is about calf deep in Four Locos.
Oh my gosh.
Just so some drinking had been going on.
Yep.
And
Oh.
as he's trying to rearrange the back of the car, because he's really dedicated, he's gonna help these people out. Again, love this man to death. But one of the things is he just hands me a bag, and I know what shotgun feels like, and I know what shotgun feels like when it's loaded.
Oh,
This
my
man just
gosh.
handed me a bag with a loaded shotgun. I'm like, very trusting of you, but
Ooh.
Jesus.
Oh
He's like, yeah,
my
here, hold
gosh.
this. And I was like, huh.
So did
And
y'all?
so
I
we-
take it that you guys made it okay.
we did close enough. Again, this is not a long drive into town. It's maybe 2-3 miles.
Yeah.
The car skids out on like these little highway off ramp, because it's like onto a highway, off to a highway, and it's like a 4-wheel drift as we go down this highway ramp. And then he fully misses the address, and he like screeches to his dad. I'm like, oh, here's fine, thank you so much.
So you think he's been drinking?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, and like
just absolutely.
And then sometimes it's almost like, okay, it's too late. Like he stopped, we said okay, and then we realize what
you can't say. Ooh, no, sorry, never mind. You're like, well,
yeah,
I
he
guess
has
we're
a
dying
shotgun.
today. Let's go.
Hey, make it exciting, right? So
yeah, it's a memorable story. It was good fun.
Absolutely. So what do you think is the most difficult part of the AT? Is there a certain section where you were like, oh man, that's pretty sketch?
Oh, physically? It's Wildcats. It's absolutely Wildcats immediately. I wept at the end of them.
Oh,
actually,
really?
this is a good fun one. So, the whole you're doing the Georgia section. It's pretty mountainous, but it's very well maintained. The Georgia Appalachian Trail Society is the most dedicated people on this planet. It is beautifully maintained. It's so well marked. It's some elevation to it, but it's very well done. You get through like some of the Virginia, Pennsylvania, all these states. It's level. It's decently maintained. It's good. It's nice. It's great. You get to New Hampshire, and suddenly there are no more trail markings, and there is no such thing as flat ground. So like the trail's like this way, and you're like kind of walking on this weird catty angle, and like it's a lot of like big bouldery things where it's not really a trail. It's more just a boulder field, and good luck.
Really?
And by the time you've gone over the whites, you've been doing this for probably 2-3 weeks at this point, of never seeing a level piece of ground. And you get down after the whites, and then you go up this ridiculously steep mountain. It's the Wildcats, and it's like another 2 days of just huge up, huge down. You're climbing over these things, and there's this one section right at the end, right before you get into that last town in New Hampshire, and it flattens out and it levels out, and it's this little pea gravel, and it's so flat. I sat on the trail and wept.
Really?
Because it was so flat. I was like, oh my God, flat ground.
Wow. People die in the whites. It's no joke. No joke.
Yeah, it's because it's really hard to get eggs off there. It's huge amounts of space between, you can't camp above tree line, perfectly valid rule, but Some of these are 16 to 18-mile sections between valid camping spots if you don't want to add a whole extra day going, down off the side and back up again.
Yeah.
And so in the interest of just getting finished, a lot of people just push on through and, end up getting caught above tree line. And it's rough. It's rough terrain. And also,
so do you have any common misconceptions about hiking in general or hiking in the AT that you always feel like you have to debunk? And like one for me is in Texas hiking communities and the different social media outlets and dedicated hiking pages is everybody thinks that you have to have hiking boots. And like for me, I'm like, there is no place in Texas where you need a hiking boot except if you are at Big Bend or if you are at Guadalupe Mountain National Park and you're going off trail, then yeah, maybe you should invest in a hiking boot. But everywhere else, just a nice trail runner, just something that's comfortable for you. So do you have anything that you're constantly feel like you have to debunk
yeah,
with hiking?
absolutely.
All right, let's hear it.
Yeah, for me, it's a lot of people, again, they keep coming back to the Appalachian Trail like, oh, it's this, huge thing. You'll never be able to do it. And it's, even if you don't do it all at once, it's really not all that difficult. It's a bunch of very lovely 4 to 5 day hikes between Dollar Generals. And it's very manageable if you just break it down like that. And a lot of the people in my life that have asked me like, oh, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. Do you have like, how do you manage the pre-supply boxes? Don't mail yourself the things ahead. You don't have to, because again, you can get off trail very easily and you can resupply at very normal places. It's a lot less logistically challenging than it's made out to be. And I think a lot of especially the guides are like, trying to build up like look at this great thing you're doing, but it's very manageable and it's easy. It's easy if you want it to be.
Wow. I never thought about that. Anything else that you think, any other misconceptions that you want to debunk?
That you have to start easy, or that you have to, get the cheap stuff first or try it out. Cause again, just go, both feet in. Actually, this is my favorite one is, I know we were talking about backpacks a minute ago. The idea that you have to get the standard thing first, that you should just, get the cheap sleeping bag or the cheap tent because, what if you don't like this? And my thought here is, and this is, I've been bared out a couple of times here for this, just buy the nice backpack and the nice tent, because a Z-Packs duplex sells for like new prices used.
Yes.
So if you end up not liking it, someone will want it. Someone will take it. You buy a Field and Stream 6-pound backpack, it's going to landfill.
Absolutely.
And if you buy the nice stuff, I'll take it. If you have another duplex, I kind of do need a new one soon, I'll buy it. I'll buy a used one for almost new prices.
Yeah.
And that way you give yourself that best shot to enjoy the thing that you came here to do. If you buy a 6-pound tent, you will hate backpacking every single
immediately
time.
As soon as you step on the trail, as soon as you pick up the bag and put it in your car,
you're sabotaging yourself
to go to the trailhead, you already hate it.
Yep. And if you buy the nice things and you do the research and get, it may not be the perfect fit, but it's going to be closer, and you can always move some of these things around. And again, quality first.
If so, I have an Osprey 65 liter. I'd much rather not have the sizing right on my not even a pound Hyperlight than not have the sizing right on this monstrosity that I have, So yeah, you're absolutely right.
And if you have the space, you'll fill it with stuff every single time. Absolutely. I like, even after the Appalachian Trail, I have an old North Face. It's like a 75 liter thing. I was packing for a camping trip and I accidentally I've got space for that. I just started putting stuff in. They're like, better than this. I weighed the pack at the end just for giggles. It was 51 pounds. Wow. No fucking idea what was in it.
And so when you hike the AT, do you have to worry about water carries, or is it so much water on the trail that you don't need to carry, maybe a couple of liters? And
seasonally dependent. I think the longest we ever did was about a day. It was like a whole day, which is 5-6 liters. It wasn't that bad. It was a little difficult because if I had not read about that, a couple of days ahead of time, I usually only carry about 1.5 liters worth of storage on me. So
Yeah. Okay.
yeah,
And
but it's not so bad.
so let's say I'm in Virginia and I catch you day hiking or backpacking. I'll let you pick on the trail. What are you going to have in your pack?
Um,
What are some of your essential items that you're not going to leave home without?
uh,
Trailbrush, I know, is one.
obviously.
Yep.
For me, it's water tabs and KT tape. Even on a short day hike, sometimes you run out of water and you want more water, and you only brought a little. It's an easy, good filtration system. It doesn't
Yep.
weigh anything. It always works. It doesn't freeze.
Yep.
Water tabs, baby, they're the best.
All right.
And the little KT tape, little bandages like that big, you can use them as band-aids if you need to. You can use them to cover scrapes, cuts, bruises. You start feeling a blister coming on, it's perfect for it. They do everything. And again, little weighs nothing.
Yep.
Those are my two favorites.
I'm starting a movement, and it's anti-water bladders.
I hate cleaning them, and I forever I've never liked water bladders. It's just
You have all your water in one reservoir. They leak. They can get punctured.
they mildew immediately.
Yes, and then if let's say I have a puncture or a leak and I fix it, duct tape, or I just fix the leak, and I find another thing of water, how am I going to filter that water? Yeah, I can put maybe some water in the bladder, but it's not filtered. How are you going to
Water
filter
tabs,
that?
just
Well,
throw a pair of water tabs in there. You're good.
yeah.
Give it
All
there.
right, you saved
Solved it.
the water bladder argument, because every dangerous situation I've been in is because somebody that I was with had a water bladder, and due to the heat here and stuff, we were in situations where I'm giving my water because they have no visibility on the water, so they're just thinking it's like the water fairy, and they're never going to run out. And yeah, it's
I've never thought about not being able to see the water, because that's
you just keep drinking, you have no idea. Whenever I stop with a smart water bottle, you can see I reuse all these. I know, okay, I've got X amount of miles to the destination. I know I have half a liter, so I know how to ration. If I'm a more experienced hiker, I want to know how much water you have, and I can't see that. And you should want to know how much water I have, because we need to be talking about this kind of stuff. And with a bladder, you can't.
It's like scuba tanks with the little air oxygen things. Like, how much air do you have left?
Yeah, and I took my dad, he's 70, up to Guadalupe Peak, got to the top, and I didn't make sure that he filled up his water bladder from the next day, so he ran out at the peak. We still had 4 miles to hike back down, and you could start to see, like, halfway he's dehydrated, his cheeks are starting to sink in, and then the podcast that I did earlier, John, one of the guys that hiked the Lone Star Hiking Trail with us, we did a 16-mile day. It's like 90 degrees outside, and he ran out of water. And it's only 16 because we got lost, so we missed the turn. It was only going to be a 12, but he ran out of water, but no one knew, and he didn't know like how much water he had and drinking, because it was invisible to all of us. And so yeah, I have a movement going on, and I'm gonna edit out that part about the tabs. No, I'm joking, because then you're gonna give them some leverage, and I'm against that.
Well, no, you got me sold on not being able to see it, because I've never thought about that before. But that's big.
Yeah, and
have you seen the thing? It's a measuring device for a smart water bottle. You put it up the side, and it actually tells you how many milliliters it is.
I have on all my smart water bottles, I have that tape.
Yep.
And I got it from Garage Gone Gear, I believe. Yeah.
Yep. Same.
That's cool.
It was the greatest thing.
So, being as experienced as you are, I think the listeners that are new to hiking and backpacking would definitely find value in this next question. And as we kind of start to wrap up as well, what would be your advice that you would give to beginners, and I know we kind of talked about some of the things that maybe want to get into hiking and backpacking, like if there's like a couple of things that you would want to make sure that they understood, like for me, I just tell people, like, you don't need to be anything other than what you are. You know, anything, don't need anything special. You truly don't need any special gear. You can just go hike in your neighborhood. You know, you don't even need a backpack. You don't even need a water, whatever you want to use device, carrying device. Like, just start. Just, you know, we can all think of bazillion reasons why not to do something, but just go do it.
Yeah. You've kind of covered my whole thing there. Damn.
Oh, sorry.
uh, yeah, you don't generally need as much as you think you do, and the only thing that I need on a hike, that I really do need on a hike, is to know where the exit is and how far it is and how to get there.
Yep.
Day hike, long distance hike, you know, what's the thing on airplanes is, you know, make sure you've located your exits. The nearest one may be behind you.
Yep.
Yeah, no, that actually came up on trail like a couple of times where, like, all right, I have to get off trail now. Actually, I had ripped my eye open in Virginia, and I was like, okay, I need a hospital now, and the nearest one was 10 miles behind us.
Oh, wow.
But, yeah, you know where the exits are, you could get there.
Yeah.
All
right.
New to backpacking. Yeah, we covered it mostly as don't start with the cheap stuff, and
Yeah.
you know, just get into it.
Yeah, absolutely.
My other favorite one was don't cheap out on anything between you and the ground.
Yes. Like that, if you just look
Sleeping
at the
pads and shoes.
Yep, absolutely. That you will immediately hate yourself if you don't get that stuff right.
Yeah.
You know, like
actually,
shoes.
those are the two important things. It can be soaking raining. If the thing between you and the ground is not good, you'll sleep like crap. You'll have a crappy day. If your shoes are bad, that's another thing. Make sure the shoes are right. I think I tried like 8 or 9 pairs of shoes. I even had taken some shoes that I liked from like from my running life. Like, just, I was like, oh, I run long distance in these all the time. They were the worst hiking shoes I've ever put in my feet.
Really?
Like a mile into the hike, I was like, we're done. I can't. My feet are dead.
Oh, wow. I never thought about that. Yeah. No, shoes definitely are important, but like ones that you would think you could run in may not be ones that you can hike in. That's really interesting.
I've got really weird feet, but like, again, hyperfixations of the things I know too much about. Hiking and running do different pressure on your feet, so your feet swell in different ways.
Okay.
And then, actually, as a fun thing, on the Appalachian Trail, my shoe size went up a size, like a whole size, about size and a half, permanently.
Permanently?
Permanently.
Wow.
So I had to go home and throw out all my shoes.
Are you kidding?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
They got wider and not tried to be longer, but definitely wider.
Wow. Oh man.
Yeah. So think about the shoes. Try a couple. Actually, this is advice from me doing a long trail. If you like your shoes, these are the only thing that I will order ahead of time. Like, make sure that the trail store has them, because you can't really change shoes mid-hike. You'll hate it. I hated it. I got to Damascus and they didn't have my shoes, and I waited for them because I had already tried another pair, and I was like, nope, waiting for these ones.
Oh, wow. So how long did you have to wait?
About 3 days.
Oh man. Did you have to make up miles?
We weren't in a hurry, so.
So what was your longest mile day on the AT?
We did just about a little over a marathon the last day.
Oh wow.
It was the last day going to the Katahdin Streams campground.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was actually our easiest day, and we ended it surprisingly early. Our first day we did 6.5 miles, something like that, something terrible. And we started at 8 a.m. and we camped after dark, made it 6.5 miles. The last day was like 28 miles, finished by 3 p.m.
Holy crap. Talk about like the Injection of hiker legs there.
Yeah.
it so just yeah, as we start to wrap up, and this just brought up like after the first day on the AT, you did 6 miles, all day. When you got the tent set up, what were you thinking? Like, we're this is crazy, or let's do this, or what are we thinking?
I think I was a little too tired to think. We had
Yeah.
pulled in at the first shelter, and there was actually a pair of ridge runners there because it was the Tuesday. It was February 22nd, 2022. So it was 02222022,
Oh,
and it was
cool.
the
Yeah.
most amount of registered starts that they had ever seen. And so they'd post like two little trail runner guys there to make sure like man to the campsite. There was like 8 of us there tops.
Yeah.
But we pulled in there really late. We're like, oh, we're going to sleep in the shelter. This is going to be great. Just inflate the air pads. And the guy goes, okay, well, you want to put your heads out because if you put your heads in, the mice are going to run back and forth across your face all night. Like, sorry, what?
Oh
So
no.
11 p.m., there I am setting the tent back up because we're like, nope, not dealing with mice on my face. That's not the way we're starting this one. And I wish I had done it in the daylight because where I'd put it was it was like a dry stream kind of thing. And we woke up, 5, 6 a.m. and our tent is flooded,
Oh
absolutely flooded because
no.
the river had run through it. And you
Oh.
get off the sleeping pad and your sleeping pad starts floating. And I remember that morning we woke up, well, it can't get worse.
Hey, way to be positive. So, what is the deal between the shelters and just setting up your tent? Why would someone pick a shelter than just setting up your tent just because they're tired and it's less stuff to do?
um, it's drier.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to get your stuff wet, and you can like wake up pouring rain, just be like, I'm gonna put all my stuff away in this dry little shelter, and your tent's
Yeah.
dry, and your stuff is dry, and everything's nice and lovely.
I always wondered
Um,
that
yeah, that's
because I
fun.
don't want mice running across any part of me, leg, feet, hands. I don't even want them looking at me.
Yeah, that's why you put your head out because then they'll only go by your feet.
Heck no. One
I
of
think
my
we
good,
stayed in the shelter twice, and then
yeah,
you're like, no,
tent.
tents.
Did y'all share a tent?
Yep.
Yep.
We shared a duplex, which is not quite enough for 2 people, but we made it work.
Yeah. Lori and I made it work a couple times. Like my friend John, he took me up to Rainier and we were hiking up to Muir Snowfield. So, first time with ice axe, he's teaching me French step and German step and whatever step. And I'm like overwhelmed, got my micro spikes on and we're walking and he's like, yeah, he goes, when you cross this little area, go kind of quickly because of, the avalanche. And I'm like, Ava,
I'm sorry,
what?
the what?
I was like, "Are you? What do you mean avalanche?" He's like, "Yeah. You see where right there in the snow up there where it's kind of cracking. It looks." I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Yeah. That's just something we need to watch." I'm like, "Holy crap!" and shortly after that, I'm like, "All right, let's turn around." We got like halfway up. It was a pretty steep snow climb up, and right before the Muir snowfields, and I got about halfway up, and I couldn't it was cool. I couldn't concentrate, and I was just like, "Yeah, I'm turning around. This Texan and snow are not getting
Nice.
along currently." So,
Yeah.
last two questions. Oh, go ahead.
Actually, just I do actually have a thing on that one. Me and my wife, we did the avalanche, ice climbing course because we were about to climb Mount Hood the next day,
Mm-hmm.
and you know the guy was so cavalier about like, oh yeah, and if the ice covers you, here's how you just deal with that, and here's make sure that you cover your face so you don't drown in the snow. And we're like, you're sure about this hike tomorrow? You really want to do it? You really into this? Like, okay,
So, did y'all climb Hood?
yeah.
That's no
We
joke.
didn't make it to the top because a storm had moved in, and our
Yeah.
guide was like, hey, I'm turning around here. I'm going to go back down. And I know there was 2 other people in our group like, we're going to brave it. We're going to go do anyways. We saw them at the Timberland Lodge that night, and it was just the most haunted look I've ever seen on a person. They looked dead, and they're like, no, that was a bad idea.
Yeah, people die on Hood all the time.
And I think when the
John's
professional guide says, we're turning around now, you turn around now.
Absolutely. John's really good friend, Brandon, he's a guide on Hood. And I think it was last year, one of his guide friends, this lady, she was retiring, I think going to be a school teacher. She was a guide. It was her last trip. She took two friends, and they got into some weather, and I think one of the guides was above her and she was kind of going up, and I don't know if they were going to turn around or what, but they all fell, and the her two guests, I think, broke a lot of stuff, and she ended up dying, and it was her last guided tour, or I don't know what you would call it, but last guide. And it's just a horrible, like, people die. There's a video of a son, his dad, and the dad's brother, and you could hear the son screaming in the background as his dad falls, and his dad fell off there. And I don't know what part of it, it's like these devil vents, or like where the vents of
it's the last shoot up to the top that gets you.
Yeah, where those vents are, where his dad fell and then went into those vents. And yeah, so there's looking at videos of Hood, I'm like, oh heck no. So do you ever have plans to go back and conquer it?
Maybe. We actually went up there. That's where I proposed, was in where we turned around.
Oh really?
I was like, I'm gonna go to the summit.
So
nice. No, we're doing it here.
Yes. Wow, that's a
very
really
frustrating
proposal.
Very flustering when you've got like this whole thing planned, and like, okay, we're gonna turn around. And, like, shit, I've got like 10 seconds to get this done.
Yep, you have to like really oh yep. Man, like golly. But it turned out right. She said yes, and happily ever after. Nice.
No one died.
All right,
so it was very good.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I always wrap up with the episodes with two questions, and it's kind of like, you only had one hike left in your life. Kind of what trail would it be on? Same thing with this is, you have a recommendation to new hiker and backpacker. What is the one piece of gear? I know we kind of talked about some things, but what is that one piece of gear that you would, and you can even pick Trailbrush, that you would say, do not start this hobby without this?
No, it's absolutely not a Trailbrush. You grab one and it's fine. Umbrella. It's always an umbrella, because it's just, come the wind, come the sun, come the rain, it provides that nice little buffer of just relative quiet sanity. So like if it's pouring down rain, if you have like a rain jacket on, it's getting in your face, it's hitting your head, like there's this constant noise. If you have an umbrella, you've got this nice little safe bubble of, I'm going to think rationally for about 10 seconds before I make this decision to do whatever. Umbrella. They weigh very, very little, and they provide just that little bit of shelter in whatever conditions. It's too windy, you can put it in the wind, keep the wind off of you for like 3 seconds while you kind of like regather your brain.
Wow, that's actually pretty interesting. And you look at all the stories where people have misfortune on the trail, and it's like, they get into these situations, they make one bad mistake, and then the next decision is bad, and then it just like snowballs into just really horrible situations. And that's a very interesting perspective on that. And the piece of gear, I never would have thought of that, but giving yourself that moment just to think, with nothing bothering you, nothing hitting you, nothing, just a kind of like you said, that peaceful bit of space. It could be all the difference, right? Like, until you getting out alive or not.
Slow second. Slow is steady, steady is fast. Steady is safe.
Wow, I like that one. Same thing about safety advice. So what do you think is the most important thing that you could relay to a new hiker, backpacker about safety? Like just one thing that, do not ever forget this.
Again, I think I've talked about it a couple of times. Know where the exits are. Just know where to leave. The number one thing you can do in this, self-rescue kind of situation, this is what I learned in all the classes I've ever taken, is know how to get yourself out, know where the exit is, know where the trailhead. It is so much easier to get rescued from a road than even 2 miles from a trailhead. Because if you're on a road, you're like, I'm at the road, this trailhead. They can get an ambulance there, they can get a taxi, an Uber, somebody can get there by car. It's very easy. If you're a mile into the trail, like, I'm somewhere on here, don't know the mile number, help, you're then opening up to a bunch of things.
So know your map.
Yeah. Know your map, and not just map, but like where you are in relation to the nearest exit.
Yeah.
And when that's it. Know how to get out.
Yeah. So for me,
it's what makes the AT so safe, because there are so many exits.
Yeah. And so you found yourself constantly just making sure that you always knew when you started the day,
Well, that, and I also wanted to know where the nearest sandwich was.
Yep. Okay. Yep. Hey, hiker hunger is a real thing.
It is.
So, and like for me, the safety, and it's something that I try all the time, is leave your itinerary with somebody, and do not ever change your itinerary unless that person has, whether it's text, physically, voice, confirmed that, yes, I know you have changed your itinerary. That if I tell my wife I'm going to Trailhead 6 and I get there and it's flooded and I'm wanting to go to Trailhead 9 now on the Lone Star Hiking Trail, I text her, and if she doesn't respond to me, I just come home. I don't change anything from what instructions that I know she's received, just in case something happens. I'm old, heart attack, whatever, snake bite. She's going to know the exact itinerary and location that I'm going to be at.
Yeah. And the other one, I don't like hiking all the way alone. If somebody else with you somewhere within some amount of distance, as long as you're not the only person there, it's a lot easier to get help on the way out if they're already with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can do it.
Yep. All right. One more time before we wrap it up. What's that website, Instagram? Can my listeners follow you? Can they connect? And how can they get the products? So one more time, I think it's important.
Absolutely. And I am slightly addicted to Instagram. So Instagram is the easiest way to find me. It's at Trailbrush. Yep. The website's trailbrush.com.
Awesome. Again, Andrew, I was a little nervous reaching out to you, because I'm like, man, this is the gear is awesome. Reading
what if he's
story,
a weird dude?
No, absolutely not. The gear is awesome. The story of how this started was awesome, and I was a little scared, like, oh, he's not going to come onto this little podcast and stuff. But man, I have really, really, really enjoyed my time with you, and hopefully one of these days we definitely share the trail together. That would be really cool.
Absolutely.
But yeah, thanks again, and thank you so much, and I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having me on.
And that wraps up another exciting episode of the Trailblazing Texas podcast. We hope you enjoyed the episode today, and stay tuned for our next episode, where we will pick back up where we left off and guarantee to uncover many more hiking gems and share many more tips to enhance your experience on the trail. Until then, happy trails and happy hiking.